Hi viewers, welcome to this WILDFly administration. Uh, Today I'm going to show you with this as part of this WILDFly administration Undertow implementation. This Undertow implementation can be done in both in two ways. One is a static and dynamic. So today I'm going to show you implementation with a dynamic. How do you implement this load balancing in both in standalone and the domain modes of the jboss servers backend server. So if you see this quickly, so I have three total. I'm going to take the three servers on this. So one will going to act as a load balancer, and the other two will going to act as a backend server. This is the one jboss backend server, and these two are backend jboss server. So and this is running on 192, and here it will be full data 192. So this is going to run 192.168.56.101 Linux box, and it is running on HTTP port, and it should be an 8080. It is running on it by default. And the similar way, this is the backend server 192.168.56.102, and of course this is doesn't matter at which port it is running, but the matter here is that it is going to be dynamic mode. The configurations are resides in the backend jboss server. So that means in the jboss server we need to mention it. So Undertow, so it means the 101, so Undertow IP, and the port we need to mention in the jboss server. That means 192.168.56.101 56 and 101, and it is running on 8080. This is what, so this is the backend server is going to connect with this the load balancer. So this is the the dynamic way it will work. The static way, the configuration resides in the Undertow. So here it will be this is Undertow. So this will act as an Undertow, and these two are backend servers. So the similar way, so this jboss backend server is running on a 192.168.56.103, and here this is also be we need to configure Undertow and IP and the port where it is running on. So in our case 192.168.56.101 is Undertow, and its HTTP port is 8080. So that's what the major things and this required. So and we will going to see this domain mode how it look like. So this is what the basic idea, and we see this already in one of my video, but this time I'm going to show you with this the configurations how to make this in a CLI. And if you open this box, I have one WILDFly, very latest version. I'm going to use this WILDFly-15 version. So here we can implement this with multiple profiles, so it's possible. By default here, if you see here, WILDFly standalone configuration. So we have we can use, of course, this profile is ready, makes it ready, and you can use it on the but let me go with this HA profile this moment. Okay, so I'm going to use this jboss server with the HA profile. So by default it is going to be the local host, so I'm going to change the IPs on it. So 0.0.1 192.168.56.101. So okay, so I just changed this IP. Now I'm going to just start this server and see that of course I think we need a Java. So I think install the Java 8, and let me install this way. So because it is required a minimum 8 plus versions on it. I think every machine is need a Java. It's Java. So that's good. So it is going to get install this Java. So once this is done, so I'm going to start with my standalone jboss server. And there's a quite important point over here is that I'm going to show you this all the CLI. Once this is CLI is finishes, we need to execute from the each and jboss server the CLI. So majority the configurations of besides here is the Undertow IP and port we configure in the backend server, that should be in the in each jboss server with standard their socket bindings exactly. So each provider contains its own socket bindings. Like if you choose the backend servers, I'm going to run this time so with the HA profiles, or you can choose full HA or HA, because here any profile doesn't matter, but here should contain some Undertow and the modcluster subsystem. So make sure that profiles you need to choose it in the backend. So here it is going to be possible with the HA or full HA. So I'm going to choose with the HA profiles in the backend, as well as the Undertow also. I'm going to start with HA profile. So then in the socket binding section, we need to configure this remote section where the Undertow is running on it. So that's what the major configuration in the backend. Whereas the front end, so we need to in Undertow level we need to configure with some piece of no, so mod cluster code. So if you see this normally, I want to do 68. So number one. So I'm going to show you with this what is the default configurations. It should come up with default load balancing profile. So that is already it's contains some so already predefined. So the similar way I'm going to show you that. So WILDFLY's standalone configurations, we have already one profile, so load balancing profile. So this is the way. Of course we can choose this, but I'm not going to go with this. If you choose this, see, this is an Undertow subsystem. In this, what it is configured, it is referring this to load balancing something, the load some any name. That name, see that the filter is a mod cluster. So this mod cluster is referring inside this Undertow. That way it is going to be work. So make sure that the point here is the mod cluster fashion. So this load balancer is going to work. So but I'm not going to show this, but the similar fashion. So first what I'm going to do is I will choose HA profiles on this. So then I'm going to add this filter section first, and then I'm going to refer this in the load balancer. So these two I will going to add this and in the HA profiles, and so let's see, because this is ready-made. Let's came with the very latest version of jboss. Maybe if you use WILDFLY around 10 or 11, maybe it is not available on there. So that moment, so I'm going to show you this. So how it will look like. So I think the Java is available. That's cool. So jboss bin directory I am here is. So I'm going to start with the jboss standalone.sh. So I'm going to choose this standalone HA profile. So this is, I'm not going to change any things out here. So I'm not going to change any posts or something. It's a by default stuff. So let's see this will going to work or not. So here first of all I'm not going to do any changes in this load balancer. So the first I will do the changes in the backend server, then I will come back to you in the load balancing stuff. So here moreover, so there is some cases here. So when you do this implementation, so after this it's not even fulfill the requirement. So we need to do this clustering part on this. Both areas should be clustered. I mean, both backend servers should be clustered. In that case, any request when we serve the request on the backend server, something goes fail. So then that will be so session replication could be worked. I'm going to show you with some default probably UDP clustering on this area this moment as part of this. So it's a simple one. It is started here. So that's cool. First the jboss is completed. Let's go to the second jboss server, so the backend servers. So backend servers. So here is I think I don't have a WILDFLY. Nothing is configured. So I just have to copy that. So this is WILDFLY zip file. So I'm gonna copy this other box. 656.102. So this is getting copied. So again, that's good. So here is a new WILDFLY in the second box. So here IP address is 102. So this is the first backend server. So just unzip this. Similar way. So here as also I'm going to change this IP address, and then we will going to work with the CLI. See, I'm going to show you the CLI part. So how it look like. Just to give some permissions. So now WILDFLY standalone configuration. So here I'm going to start with this HA profile. So I decided to go and change this IP address localhost with 168.56.102. So I just changed it. So now here I'm going to start this a simple jboss server. So similar version. So I'm going to make it in a simple way. Then I'm going to change this one by one in the later. So just XML. So I just started the backend server, the first. So here if you look at that 92.160, I'm just open one more putty to connect to the CLI. So this is my WILDFLY page out here. So bin directory. So let me connect to the CLI this moment, CLI.sh. So I'm just trying to connect controller 168.56.102. This is I'm trying to connect to this jboss. So this is my second jboss. Is connected. This started successfully, and I'm trying to connect to the CLI. There is some problem. Okay, so 9990 over here. So I'm going to mention this IP port. By default, it is going to connect with the local host. and make sure it should be changed again if you don't want to write in the CL XML level directly. Okay, there is a problem. Controller. So that's what by default is just going to connect this localhost. So that is coming from this CLI.xml file. So if you change there, so you don't need to enter this always connect and controller stuff. So here I am into this backend server. So the first area in this what we need to look at into this. So we need to add this load balancer IP port. So our load balancer is running on 101 with the port 8080. So how do you configure that? So it's a very simple. So always in the socket standards at the end. So if you see this how the configurations are reflected, also I'm going to show that. So if you see if you see that by default how it look like, then once you done something configurations how it look like. So in both the cases I'm going to show you that. So here under OPT WILDFly standalone configuration, so here is standalone h.xml. So here socket bindings outboard. So every profile is having its own socket bindings. Right now I'm going to choose this as a profile is h.xml file. So at the end I'm going to modify I'm going to add one more outbound socket bindings group. So how it look like, so just give this it's just a step. So see that there is one socket bindings group standard socket, so remote outbound so socket binding. So over here, so that will exactly refer in that XML file. So now I am into exactly came into this outbound socket. So here I'm going to mention some name and I'm going to add there. So so here I'm going to just add one load balancer, so LB1 something. So I'm just to give this small details of where host where my exactly is 192 168.56.101. So this is the IP and the port is equal to 8080. So this is the first changes. So if you see, and again so here it is. So my outbound socket is exactly added, and make sure this jboss is connecting to this backend. This is a backend server is connected to the load balancer in the mod cluster fashion. So here this is should be pointed again to the mod cluster. So if you see this where mod cluster exists, mod cluster, see there is a mod cluster. So here I'm going to refer that name. So in this mod cluster, now see how it look like by default. So in this I'm going to add a small property over here in this. So at the end here, so what is that property here is I'm going to refer this name LB1. So that means mod cluster we need to assign this backend load balancing stuff. So here subsystem mod cluster write attribute. One second. Okay, write attribute name is equal to. So okay, go to the mod cluster. Proxy is equal to default. Mod cluster. So here I'm going to add this proxies. So this property is the proxies. You can take this, and the value here is you need to mention in the form of because there's a number of load balancer can connect to this jboss server. It's the form of an array or something. So you can add here though the LB1 is our exactly the name which we given in the socket binding section. So now if you see here, so this name I entered over there. Just close this and again open. So if you search for the mod cluster. Here I just added the proxies. The proxies is equal to LB1. Not here. Okay. So okay. There is a mod cluster, of course. Okay. That's the proxies is LB1. This is what we added, and make sure. And there is something called AJP. So that means it is backend communication protocol. So when it get registered the backend server in the load balancer, then I will show you this how to change this in another protocol or something. So by default it is going to connect with an AJP backend protocol. So now just added that's all the changes in the backend. So let's see with the first one jboss, then we will going to add one more jboss. So the jboss end is the configurations are completed. So just we started the jboss and we done the configuration changes in the backend. So we have a front end server, also we have some configurations. So let's see that how the front end will look like bin directly. So I am in the front end. So this is my front end load balancer Undertow. So here as well I'm going to connect to the CLI. Connect. controller 101.990. So I'm just connected here. There are two steps majorly. One is like I showed you how in the default profile how it look like. The same way I'm going to add this stuff. So a subsystem. So here I'm going to show with Undertow. First we're going to Undertow subsystem, and then we have configurations and filters, and see there is a mod cluster. So here I'm going to do something like a mod cluster, any name can be. Okay, so add here. So here there are a couple of properties are which are very much important. So let's choose. See there it is. First one is see that advertise socket binding. So this is important. So advertise socket binding. So we need to point into a mod cluster, and then management socket binding is important. Manage socket binding is equal to HTTP. I'm going to access this application in the form of HTTP, and so there is a security key also been important. Let's go with without that. If anything required, I'm going to add in the next sections on this, and then we will going to refer this. So I will going to show you once you execute this how it is exactly reflected in this in XML. And subsystem is equal to Undertow, then server is equal to default server, and the host is equal to default host. And now here is a filter reference. So here we going to write mod cluster, exactly the name which I given over here. So that's mod cluster. So mod cluster. So I'm just going to add it. So if you just Control C, that's back to the standalone. Okay, so this is gone. So let me open one more putty and show you that. So here PT WILDFLY standalone configurations, standalone h.xml. So here I'm going to search for the mod cluster plus Undertow. So where we are done Undertow. Configuration changes are in Undertow. So here our configuration changes. The first one is a filter. So this is what I added with the filter, and I just give any names for the mod cluster. And this mod cluster, the reference I added in the code. Yeah. So in a similar way. So this is only the two steps which we configured it. So now, so let's see that how it what is going to happen. So here, see there is okay. This is my load balancer, and this is my backend server. So but right now nothing is going to happen. Make sure you need to be. It is going to connect on 8080. That's what it indicates. So backend server is pointed to the load balancer. It is going to connect based on 8080. Make sure we need to be enabled that accordingly. So what I do is this first in the jboss. This is a firewall level. We need to enable that 8080 firewall CMD. I'm going to add a port. So here I'm just this is the load balancing where I just added so just added. So this is enabled on the load balancer mission. The 8080 is open out of the box. That's cool. And okay, and make sure again it is going to connect it is going to connect to the backend protocol is AJP protocol. Make sure again AJP is also very much important to enable out of the box. So this is in the jboss backend server. Go to the backend server, firewall CMT permanent add port. So in the backend server this is 8009. So this is AJP. He just protocol is enabled. Okay, that is going to be successful. Now let's see this. Is there anything a problem in this? It's a Control C. I'm going to start on the board. So I'm going to start my load balancer. So there is two protocols very much important. The 8080 in the load balancer. So that's what it's going to connect to the backend server. The backend server is connecting to the backend. So the backend communication protocol is an AJP. So this is my log file, and if you start the backend server, if it doesn't work, I think we need to enable other so UDP level like this. So let's see this much. If you see that log of this the load balancer, so that's the case. So see here when you start the backend server, So you need to observe this load balancing log. So here jboss2 is my host name of the second server. So 192.168.56.102 box is actually the host name is the jboss2. So that it is indicates, and make sure here is a backend. AJP is a backend protocol, and that's the important stuff. I said that the 8009 is a backend protocol communication, and this is my IP address of the backend, and it is the AJP port is 8009. So that's the backend communication protocol. So that's cool, right? So now the registered context is something empty, so that means is I think nothing is deployed on this case. I think I need to get the war file, so that's something. Okay, so here this is what the case on this. So but this is what the its backend is registered successfully the context, and that means it is successfully registered. So let's going to access something, so we will get to the page of the. So I'm going to access 192.168.56.101, and so this is my now load balancer Undertow. So when I access 8080, so where it is gone, so until deployment happened, we cannot assure exactly because nothing is deployed in the backend. So let's give me some time, so then I will come back with the war file. There we are. So so I just got some war files over here. Just let me unzip this war file. So there's a couple of war files over here. So just let me copy this war file. So first so I have a one war file like some testing.war file. This is I'm going to copy into our WILDFly. So I'm just copy directly into the deployment, so like a hot deployment. So if you see here the backend, it is going to get deployed the server the testing.war file. So now this is deployed in the backend. Now if you see the load balancer at this moment, so it is going to register with the context as whatever context which is deployed over here. It is just taking some time. So this is a registered context in the backend, so something called a testing. So this is where we are going to access this application. At the same moment, if we go with load balancer, so whatever the application which you deployed the context, it is going to register in the load balancer too. So now go to access this. This is my load balancer and slash. This is my context of the application which I deployed in the backend. So that means I'm able to access from the load balancer. So here it is this is a load balancer. I'm not deployed any applications on this. That's again important point. That means it is definitely redirected to this application. So if you click on this, it means I can go to 3 and just submit the button. And if you see the log file where exactly it is gone, so there is this Undertow. There is nothing here. It is only the registered the context on the backend server which it is going to show. So here the logs is came to the logs which when you access application. So that we want to say. So from the load balancer, this is redirected to the backend server. The small changes. Let's do quickly the same stuff in another the jboss server in the backend. So then we will going to see this how the session replication this work. The session replication is very much important as part of the cluster part. So here I think I don't have anything. So let me copy quickly one war file on this. This is WILDFly. So I'm gonna copy this 192.168.56.103 server. Okay, that's cool. Once this is done, again we're going to start this and we are going to connect with the CLI, and if we do the two other changes, that's it, there are nothing more else. So this is the one, just trying to unzip this, and then I'll change this IP address and exactly in the profile. So WILDFly standalone configurations. So I'm going to change this 0.1 192 168 56 103. So that's it, and I'm going to start this server standalone.sh -c standalone .xml, and I'm going to start this, and then let's connect to this server 103. Here the same CLI stuff. So pt and WILDFly bin directory jboss CLI.sh connect controller, and this is running on 103.56.103. So here there are two commands. One is the outbound socket that is where exactly is running my load balancer, and that is pointed to the mod cluster. Only those two, just quickly add it. So here socket bindings, standard sockets, and the remote, and the same thing LD1. So of course any names over here, and the host. so where it is running 192.168.56.101, and port is equal to, make sure, 8080. So that's it. So this is one is added, and the next subsystem mod cluster quickly. Proxies is equal to default load provider. I think not this one. Where exactly we went? Right attribute name is equal to, and proxies, and the value is equal to in the braces lb1. So let me do this much. So that's it. There is no configuration changes, and make sure, and this is connecting to this out of the box, so make sure we need to enable this AJP port, because the communication is AJP. So that's an important point. I need to open this AJP in this box too. Firewall, and permanent add port 8009 is AJP. Just reload this stuff, because here is only the AJP, and the Undertow there is an 8080, nothing more. And so now this is my server is started successfully. Let's see that is going to register or not. So there is nothing is registered is happened here. 103 also should be registered. I think that is not happened. I think let me control C and start again, reload this. This is not asking to reload. Okay, so this is backend server is starting. So once this is started, let's see this how it is going to come the register here, this jboss 3. So that is on 103 box, and with an AJP port. See, there it is. So we started about to start this, going to start almost there, and this is we got it the registered with slash nothing is deployed on this. I think I need to go and deploy quickly one war file on this too. So it's the same path it is located. Let me do the SCP this war file into 192.168.56.103. That's it. That's quickly I done the deployment, so that means it is going to deploy this war file, and make sure there is a war file, and by default it is going to use the UDP cluster part. By default is the take groups are pointed to this UDP, and I'm not sure this is going to get a cluster, because there are some couple of ports are required to do that we will going to see anyhow. So now this war file is deployed successfully, and now if you see the load balancer, it is registered the context of the jboss. That means we done the successfully both jboss are connected to this. Make sure we just enable the out of the box over here is 8009 in this jboss 8009. That's what the connection backend, and here it is 8080. So that's an important point, because 8080 we configured the backend servers. And that's it, only two major ports, and then so this is successfully connected, but there are some problems over here. So see that. So first I'm going to hit this server first, just from the load balancer I'm trying to access this. So just give the application a context. So let's see that where it is going to this request. So first admin 123, just to give that submit. So I don't know where it request is gone. Let's see this log file. So this is the first backend server, and this second backend server. The first backend server got the request, login is successfully. So let's access continuously. When I click on the profile, 1, 2, and 3. So 3 times I just click on this. So this all 3 requests are came to this jboss server. That's so cool. And then log out, and again log in. Submit. This time I just logged in with another sign out and logged in. So logout successfully has happened. The next request just came to login successfully the second jboss server. That's so cool. And let's access couple of times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just I click the 5 clicks after this. So all 5 clicks are came to this jboss server. So that's cool. That's cool. So both are done successfully, but there is a case over here. So just here is I logged in. I just logged into the application and trying to do multiple clicks. So all clicks are came to this profile. That's so cool. This jboss server. So somehow this jboss is shut down or something is going to happen. So what about this? Because other jboss is already there in the 2 jboss servers we want to make it in the backend. But when you're trying to click on this profile, so that moment a logout is happened application. So still we have a 1 jboss servers in the backend. Because there are 2 jboss servers in the backend, so because this logout is happened, even though 1 jboss server is up and running in the backend, so this should not happen. So until you do that, means the session is not replicated in this between these 2 jboss servers. It's not maintaining the by default. Okay, so because you not done the cluster part on this, if you do the cluster part, and then both jboss to jboss communication will going to happen, supposed to be happen, then the session replication will going to be happen. So now this is the problem over here, so let's do that part too, then we will end up this, and I will come back with then we'll see that on my mode. So I'm going to stop this two backend server, so we need to do this cluster part between these two. And the cluster part, when I say the cluster, so let's go and standalone configuration, standalone ha.xml. If you open this, normally just search for jgroups, see that jgroups by default it is pointed to the UDP. So UDP is the stack, it is going to use a ping protocol, that means definitely multicasting. So that's cool, but what are the ports? By default, you don't need to do any changes, and want to make a cluster of the jboss with the UDP. So here I'm going to show with the UDP clustering jboss to jboss session replication stuff to do that. So UDP. So what the ports are required on this? So first, as I said, there is no configuration changes. Only minimal ports are required as part of multicasting. So if you see that, so what ports are required? Now there is one port 45700. Let's make a note. 45700 is a one port, and this is TCP. See that this is a TCP, I think not required. And there is a UDP 55200, and multicast of 45688, 45688. That's a cool 45688. So anything else? Mod cluster 22600. I think let me try this. 23364. Yeah, 23364. I think this is the minimal ports, and we will try and see that how it going to work or not. So before okay, this is going to be okay. Before I'm going to start this server over here. So this is my starting command. So before starting this, let me open the firewall cmd permanent, add port, and the ports are 45700, 45700, and I'm going to open both UDP and TCP level, and 55200, 55200, then 45688, 45688, and then 23364. TCP and the UDP. Let me try that UDP. So at last, firewall cmd, then reload this stuff. So let me copy the same commands. So we will going to execute another jboss server. So this is okay. So then let's copy this. So this is the second server. Just let me copy this. This is the first one, and then TCP. Then 45200. This is second port. Paste it, and TCP level executed both, and 45688. And the next is just copy 456, and TCP is done, and at last 23364 mod cluster, of course, TCP and UDP, and just to load this stuff. There is no configuration changes. Reload it. So before starting, I think that's it. So I'm going to start this jboss server standalone.sh -c standalone ha.xml. Just let me give us some name. fnd jboss node name is equal to something. So this is my jboss. So backend server 1. So let's give simply server 1, and let's go to this server and standalone.sh -c standalone ha.xml -d jboss node name. This is server 2. That's it. So let's see that this much, and the logs are very much important over here. So if you with just jboss to jboss, when it get clustered, I think you need to observe some logs on this in both jboss servers. So forget about this the load balancing no Undertow this moment, because I'm trying to do this session to do the session replication the part. Does it works or not? Okay. It is going to something, trying to do something. Okay, that's a great thing. So let's see that. If you see there is a log something, so you guess or something. See there is server 1 and server 2. They both are in a cluster. So total member server 1 and server 2. That's the name is important over here. Server 1 and server 2. See there it is. So the name, so it is going to club. It will going to show in this jboss 2. See that so EJB channel EJB and something server 1 and server 2. See there it is. Server 1 and server 2, there is both are clubbed together. Because we're not done any stuff on this configuration change, just open the ports out of the box. That's the UDP stuff. So UDP is this much. I think now let's see the session replication, how it is going to work on this. We deployed the application, and so both are getting registered. Testing application in the server 1, testing application in the server 2. That's cool. So let's access now this moment session replication, how it look like. So testing. So first I just hit this application from the load balancer. So admin 1 2 3 and submit the button. So just I think it is where it is gone. jboss 1 is here and 2 here. I think came to successfully the second the 103, the backend server. So second server. So click on profile 1 2 3. So I just click 2 times. So okay, 3 times. All 3 requests came to the same server. That moment now I'm going to shut down this jboss. So that moment when jboss are both are clustered, so any session is came to here, that should be replicated to another jboss servers definitely. So again that will go, and the servers also know that somebody has left the cluster group. So this jboss, I think it is copied already the session. So if we continuously access this, it should be, see there it is. I am not fail a logout. That means when I access this first attempt, the backend no, so see that the session the request is continuing with another jboss server, even the other jboss servers are shut down at the runtime when the people are accessing. That means all the sessions from here, it is moved to into this. This is only the indication that session replication is copied successfully and it is working successfully in the cluster mode. This is what the load balancing when you implement it on this. So I think it's going to take some time. So I think so that's movement. It's better to movement to make one more video in the domain mode. So like I will come back with one more video. Thank you for watching this video and thank you so much.